Hey guys, welcome back to Gaslands TV. This is another episode on a team build, and this time it's going to be cop cars. Alright, so I got these four cars here, and I decided on a few different pieces that I want to put. Sometimes, when you're doing a build, before you glue anything, just make sure you have the pieces aside and you know what you want to do for each car. So once that's done, you're gonna want to open the cars, and to open the cars you could use a drill. You use a small drill first, make a deep hole, and then with a bigger bit you do the rest of the rivet. Be careful guys, wear safety goggles. Sometimes things can get dangerous, uh, things could like spin around, hit you in the face, and yeah, so make sure you have an adult present or a man-child present that can do this for you. Now for the inside here of these cars or trucks, I think I'm going to use I'm going to use everything, the whole window. Sometimes you want to cut out the window, but for this one I'm going to use everything. Let's see, in this ambulance, so the ambulance has a red one. Having both might come in handy. Now for this car here, I don't like the blue part. I like that it's white. I like the logos on it, the stickers. I don't like the blue part, so I'm going to use this easy paint remover. If ever you buy a car and you like the color, you just don't like some other color on it, or maybe you don't like the decals on it, all you got to do is put some of this easy paint remover with a Q-tip and let it sit for a little bit. It's gonna eat away at the paint that you don't want, and then with the other side of the Q-tip, the dry side of it, you could just remove some of the excess paint that got eaten. I'm not doing this very carefully, so if you're careful, you could do a nice job at removing paint. So for this, I like the windows. I'm gonna keep the windows in the back. Oh, what's this? My wife has brought me some strawberry gin drink. Don't forget to keep hydrated, guys. Even if it's alcohol, maybe have a glass of water after. But yeah, let's go back to this window here. I'm gonna remove the front part of it, and I'm gonna use this bread bag holder or bread bag closer as a window. So I'm gonna cut the bottom here, just cut 2 slits, and then cut off the little excess. Make a window for the driver here. There's a lot of different ways you could do a window. You could even leave it open if you want, maybe use a tie wrap. But for this, I'm gonna use some glue, and that little piece that came off, glue it on the side here, close the window. That was a piece of metal, maybe the driver, that's what he did, he welded it. He did what he could with whatever piece of metal he found, right? That's what Gaslands is all about. Now if you want, you could use this drywall sandpaper here. Go get this at any hardware store. It's basically sandpaper for drywalls, and you could even choose how rough it is, so depending on your taste. I like something that looks a bit rusted, so I chose to go with the metal instead of the drywall stuff. So here now, when you glue a ram to a car, you want to make sure that you're gluing it to the right area of the car, because this is a priming issue. So make sure that when you glue it, you choose where to glue it, if it's the bumper or if it's the body of the car, so that you could remove the body when you're priming and easily put it back in. I've had issues where I glued the bumper, and then when I tried to put the body back on, it wouldn't go. So make sure everything goes before you glue stuff together. Now I decided to glue a wing in the back of this car because, you know, why not? And if you're looking for wings, that's also something I sell on my Etsy page. It's in the description of the video if you're interested. And I'm going to put these spikes here on the tires. Fairly easy. Just put some glue them on the tire, and you got tire spikes. I have another video where I bought a few things at the dollar store that you could put on tires instead of those spikes. If you don't have a 3D printer, or if you can't afford to buy like 3D printed stuff, there's some pretty cool things at the dollar store that you can find. And I'll put a link to that video if you want to go check it out. I'm gonna put the engine block and a gun here on the roof of this car, and that looks pretty good. And I think that's gonna be ready to prime. Now for this truck here, I'm gonna put a ram in the front as well with some guns coming out of it. And I don't like the front window, but I do need the lights on top, so because this one I'm gonna want to use the mesh for the front window here. So all you gotta do is cut a piece of mesh and then just put a bit of glue on the tips of where it's touching the body. And then this light, I need the light, but I don't need the windows, so I'm gonna have to like try to cut this out. And I'm sure there's better tools to do this, but that was all that was handy at the time. And so now I keep the lights, I keep the back windows, but I don't have the front window anymore, which is exactly what I wanted. And now for the back here, I'm gonna glue the glue dropper. And I'm gonna probably put some missiles on the roof and a chain here in the back, just to add a bit of a Gaslands look. Chains are always good, they're cheap, you can find those pretty cheap somewhere. And I'm gonna replace these tires. I do have a kit of tires if you're interested in buying some tires to replace tires on my Etsy page. And I think I'm gonna use the original tires in the front. Now for the top, I'm gonna use a headphone jack from an old pair of headphones. And if you want, you could even cut a straw in diagonal here, make like a cannon. So I'm gonna put that on top there of the truck. I like the police thing on the side here, so I'm gonna save that by putting masking tape. This is not electric painting tape, and I'm gonna put that on the side here to protect that police logo, because I really like it. And with a hobby knife, you just cut the excess, and when you're gonna prime it, it's gonna protect that area. Now for this car too, I kind of like the details on it. I like that sheriff logo, so probably gonna put some tape on the sheriff logo. And maybe on the text in the back here too. I'm gonna keep that. I mean, it says Matchbox Police Squad or something like that, so it's pretty funny. And yeah, these rams here, when you buy them off me or off anybody, there's a little slit there. That's to glue at the bottom of the car, so that it's easier to keep the ram there. You might think it's excess plastic or whatever, and you cut it off, but you actually need it. And I'm gonna glue here the jack on top of the car. And while that's drying, I'm gonna check out these tires if they fit. Always test tires if they fit, make sure they make sense. And on top of this car, I think I'm gonna put some missiles. Pack of 4 missiles. Maybe have a jet in the back, jet engine. And I think that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna prime these black, because it's gonna be mostly black stuff, especially the tires. The bottom of the cars and stuff. And I'm gonna prime all this white, and I like to do the inside white as well because I like painting the inside, and white makes the colors pop more. So for the lights, it's gonna be a brighter blue, a brighter red. So fast forward, all of this stuff is primed, and I got black and I got my white pieces, and now it's time to put them together. But first, take a break. Don't forget to eat. These builds can be long, can be excruciatingly long, especially when you're filming and you're trying to focus on things. You want to make sure you're well fed. Now back to these tape here. I'm going to remove them, and hopefully it comes off pretty easily. Because it's paint tape, it should come off easily. Now, what I learned from this mistake, or happy mistake, or happy accident, is that tape gives a little texture here. Maybe I put too much primer or whatever, but it's a cool texture, and it's a cool rust texture, and I think I'm going to make a video on how to rust cars using just tape and primer, because I just learned something pretty interesting there. So yeah, my next video is probably going to be how to rust a car using tape and primer, and all that from doing and learning. So if you guys learn anything in the process of doing these builds, please share it in the comments, something interesting, and if it's easy to make or reproduce, I'll probably do a video on that too. And I'm going to use my Sharpie here for the inside, do some details on the speakers or whatever detail you can find inside the car. It's easy to do. I mean, if someone picks up your car and looks inside as they do, at least you'll have a little bit of detail in there. And you could use a Sharpie on the outside of the car too. So for this truck here, there was some rivets or some hinges and stuff like that. So you can even use it as on the mirrors. So whatever silver or bolts or whatever, even door handles, you could just use a Sharpie. Does the job, and it's quick, it's easy. And for the lights here, I'm gonna do just plain blue, and on one side, and then red on the other side. And for the truck lights, I'm gonna do half of it blue, leave the middle white, and then do some red on the other side. I'm gonna take some blue here and put it even on the back lights. I mean, cop cars have a lot of blue and red lights, so do one side blue, maybe even the front blue, and there's the back. So whatever blue lights you can do, and then when they're done, just go to red lights. And again, I did the front light and the back light. And for this car too, I did some red, and I'm gonna put some blue now with a detail brush. Got off Amazon. I think you get like 12 brushes or 10 brushes for like 13 bucks. It's really cheap, and they have a nice handle to hold, and they do detail fairly nice, and they're not expensive. So I did some blue lights in the back. Now what I'm going to do is add some white just to highlight the lights. They look a bit, they don't look like lights at this point. They just look like a colored blue and colored red plastic. So with some white and some blue, make a lighter blue, and then just put a little bit on top just to highlight, just to make it look maybe more like glass or more like an actual light. It's really hard to mimic light as a paint job, but it's one of the easiest ways to do it, by adding some highlight. Even just like a little point makes a huge difference, gives it a little shine. And I'm gonna do the same here with the red, put a bit of white, and turn those into some shinier glass looking stuff. So yeah, I'll show you kind of what it looks like. There's some blue and white paint mixed in. And now I'm gonna do the windows. And for the windows, I'm just gonna go plain black. These are cop cars, so you know, maybe they tint their windows. They don't want people to see what's inside or whatever. Now I primed them white just so that the colors of the lights pop, but the windows have to be black. And since you have the black out, might as well use it to fix any mistakes, or just go around the lights to make them more even, more square. And here you can see my primer didn't reach underneath, left a bit of the green from the previous thing, so I'm gonna use some black to cover that up. And I did the inside of this car, also black and white, just whoops, just in case, you know, people look inside and see a little bit of details. And now it's time to take out the silver. I'm running out of silver. I gotta buy some new one. It's like, I think the color that we're gonna be using the most here in Gaslands land. But yeah. But for the engines, I used to do silver, but now I'm doing them brushed metal, because if you actually look at an engine in real life, it's more black than silver, or more black than metallic, unless you're looking at those chromed ones in car shows. But I don't think you can do car shows with Gasland cars. So yeah, so brushed metal looks pretty good on engines, and maybe even these tire spikes here, even the ram on the car. So I decided to do the ram on this car black, and I'm going to do the wing also black. With the detail brush, I should have primed the wing black instead of white, but I didn't know I wanted it black. So little mistakes gonna give you extra work. So try to remember what you want to prime, white or black, and make sure you get that right. And I'm gonna use a Sharpie here to the detail on the glue, and the detail brush to make all of this stuff silver here. As you can see, I did the lights on top also. The blue with a bit of highlight, and red with a bit of highlight, and then a white stripe in the middle. And with the silver, I'm just painting some of the details here on the truck. Also, once there's no more silver on the brush and you have very little, just damage the paint off the bumpers and off the side here. Just pass your brush, and it's gonna damage it. You're basically chipping off paint using silver. Show you here on the side. See there, I might have put a bit too much. You don't want to put too much, and if you do put too much, it's okay, because that's gonna maybe become a rust spot later on when we do the rusting part. So don't worry about putting too much, but less is more when it comes to chipping the paint off while you're using some silver to do it. Just go all around, it makes it a bit more realistic. I did it here on the roof next to the light. There might have been, you know, a lot of paint chipping and stuff hitting the car and damaging it, and you know, just weathering basically. And I never know when to cut when I'm doing this part. I know a lot of people are new and they want to see every brush stroke. Other people are just impatient on YouTube and can't wait to see the next video. So I don't know how to make the length of these videos, but hopefully watching this you're learning a few things, and you can apply it in your next build. So as you can see here, I did some silver damaging on the black primered ram, and just gives it a bit of a more metallic, weathered look. So I'm gonna put a bit here on the wing. I'm not gonna cut here, just so you can see the wing from full black and go to fully damaged with just a bit of silver. And I'm using an old brush. The best thing to do when you're doing random damage is just a brush that has hairs pointing in every direction, and it's going to help you randomize the damage. Here's another really good example. So if you look at the RAM here, fully black, doesn't have a very nice metallic look. But all I'm doing, and this is taking me literally real time, like 15 seconds, is put a bit of silver all around the edges, and you've got a metal looking RAM. Now for this truck here, I think I'm going to use the missiles here, but it'd be cool to have them on a turret, maybe, you know, instead of shooting straight. You could shoot these missiles in any direction. And I'm going to use a piece of old, I think those were headphones. I'm not sure where I got that piece. I forgot. I think it was a headphone. But yeah, I'm going to glue the missiles there and let that dry. While that's drying, you could use a Sharpie, and Sharpies are really good to do mags. Quick and easy. You have a bit more control with a Sharpie than with a paintbrush if the mags are big enough. And then with a black Sharpie, you could even do the tires to clean off the silver. And when that dries up, it looks pretty good. It looks actually too good. So what you want to do is dirty up these tires, right? So I'm going to use this air brush, and now I'm going to put the tire in the paint, and then with a sponge, I'm going to just move the tire back and forth in that paint. If you put too much, it's going to just be too much. So put a little bit of paint, spread it out with the sponge, and then make the tires roll over the mud. And I mean, you can't get more realistic than that. It's doing exactly what a tire does, rolling over the mud. And instead of using your fingers, you could use a sponge to roll them, and then sponge a little bit on the top here. Get those dirty. And with leftover paint on the sponge, you could even go dirty up the other tires on your other vehicles. Just give it a little bit of dirt, you know. And, if you have two different browns, that also gives it an even more realistic look. Just three, you know, if you have three different shades of brown. But yeah, if you're dirtying tires, a sponge is a pretty good way of doing it. Now I'm gonna put some glue here for the chain. Chains are really cool accessories. I like them. Not everybody puts them, but they're easy, and they add a little bit of, you know, not realism, but so something to the Gaslands look. And I'm going to use some brushed metal here to dirty up the front here, because this is where the missiles get launched, right? So as they get launched, the fire in the back of the missiles are burning up all this metal behind them. So we're going to put some brushed metal here to dirty it. And also what you want to do is put some paint on the brush, and then clean off your brush off the edge here. Just one or two quick strokes, and it's gonna give it a burnt look, burnt fire look. And the trick to doing this is not dry brushing. It's actually putting quite a bit of paint on the brush and cleaning the paint off at the edge. That's gonna give you that look there. Don't push too hard, and it should give you some nice burnt edge look here. And then when you have a little bit of paint left, some dry brushing just to dirty up the silver. Now with some red and a toothpick, you can do the tips of these missiles here. If you're not too steady with a brush or whatever, this is the easiest way I've found. But if you're good with a brush, you could do some pretty nice missiles here with just some red. And I'm sure you could do a better job than I did. I kind of rushed those missiles. Now for these missiles too, I'm going to put some red on the missile wings here. and maybe make a line here at the tip of the missiles with a detail brush, and then with a bigger brush I'm just gonna fill in the tip here. That could have been cool. I could have left it like that, but I went all the way to the line with the red. Now brushed metal is also good to dirty up guns, the tip of the guns, you know, because when you're firing, that gets all the soot there and all the fire from the muzzle shots, gets all this stuff dirty. So brushed metal works really well on dirtying up the silver. And these tires, I don't like those tires. I think I'm gonna use just the original tires, and I'm gonna keep the red mags. Why not? I mean, cops have red and blue, right? So now for the jet pack here, the jet engine, I'm gonna put some flames here. This is part of my flamethrower kit that I sell on Etsy also, so go check it out if you're looking for some flames and flamethrowers and gas canisters and all that good stuff. I'll put the link in the description, and I'm gonna glue the fire there and wait. And while that's drying, I think I'm going to dirty up or weather up this this car with some silver again. I don't want to cut here because a lot of you have been asking me about the silver weathering, the silver chipping, and it's basically just putting a little bit of silver in edges randomly, and it instantly turns plastic looking stuff into metal looking stuff. So already with just a little bit of silver, you can see the difference between the side of the truck that has the damage and the hood, which looks very plasticky. I'm going to try this Rust Model Air Metallic on this car here. Silver doesn't work very well on white cars, so I'm going to rust up these white cars. Brushed metal works good on white cars, and I'll show you that with the other truck. But for here, like remember the tape that I removed that gave some texturing? I'm going to paint that texture in this rust color here and see how that comes out. As you all know, guys, I am new to all this. Just because I'm putting it on YouTube doesn't make me a pro. I actually started my channel to learn as I go, and to learn with you guys, and to get pro tips from the comments of the videos. And I have been learning quite a bit, so thank you for that. And I hope you've been learning from my mistakes. And so I'm just going to put a bit of rust everywhere. I'm going to put a bit of rust here around the gun. Guys, less is more, and I know that for all of those of you that know me, keep not knowing when to stop putting rust. It's an addiction. But I'm going to put this rust effect now along the metallic rust. If you don't have that metallic rust color, or you can't find it, you could use bronze. I think just metallic bronze works. Metallic brown works. You could put some of that, and then add some orange or some lava colored orange. I'm gonna put some here. So the same technique I use with brushed metal, I'm actually just doing it with rust here. And I'm gonna put a bit of the metallic rust on the window metal here, because that's gotta look like a different part of the car, right? That's gotta look like something added, and maybe it's a cheaper type of metal and it rusts more than the rest of the car or so. I'm gonna make that metal pre-rusted, as you can see. Yep, I don't know when to stop, but it's looking pretty good. The thing with rust is you want to have maybe at least two different browns and oranges. I find that it gives it a more realistic look. If you go look at pictures of rust online, you're gonna see that it's always a few different shades of brown and orange. And so here, like for the truck here, I'm just gonna put a bit of orange wherever there was a bit of brown already, or if there's too much silver that I put somewhere, I'm gonna cover it up with some rust. And bullet holes here in the front with the ram. Maybe a bit on the hood here. I put a bit of rust at the bottom underneath the door handle. I'm trying to be nice with this one. I told myself, you know, just only two rust spots per side. So I think I'm gonna put one on the door here and one on the E of the police because it was too clean, so I wanted to dirty that up. So that looks pretty good, you know, two rust spots, not too much. I contained myself there, and I put just a bit here in the door handle, and this is where my addiction comes in again. I have to go all the way down to the floor almost. Could have just left it the way it was, but there you have it, a bit more rust. And I put a bit in the back, just, you know, because there's a vent there. So, and now for the white. Let's see here. I'm gonna rust this one up quite a bit, obviously. And hey, you know what? The more I rust, the more you get to see how it's done, and then you could put less of that on your builds. So here I am just putting a random hole on the side of the. It's starting to look like a cow a little bit, but if you add the other orange here, it gives it a nice rust look. Some orange and some brown. So I'm just gonna let this run a little bit so you could see that I just put some orange all around the darker brown areas. And I'm gonna use another brown just to go inside. So right now the rust spots have 3 different browns, and that looks really good when you're doing rust to add a few different shades of brown and orange. Looks pretty nice, but it's still too clean, right? So again, with the trusty brushed metal from Walmart. Silver doesn't work too well on white, so I like to use the brushed metal. And basically it's the same thing you do with silver, but you do it with the brushed metal, and you can dirty up the car quite a bit. It's gonna look dirty but still metallic, which is nice. So it's gonna add some dirt, and it's also gonna chip the paint at the same time. Now there's very little here on the brush. I didn't want to put too much damage on the side here, but just enough to dirty the white and make it look like it's been through some kind of battle. And this is another clip I'm gonna let run for a while so you could see me doing it. Here I put a lot of paint on the brush for the front because that's where he's ramming stuff, and there's a lot of like fire and maybe explosions that happen. So just gonna use that to do the front end here. And it's just a few brush strokes and it looks pretty good. I did a bit on the engine scoop there as well. And so you can see the difference from one side to another. Now I'm just gonna do this side quick. Again, if you're more patient than I am, you could probably do this much nicer. But it's been a while since I put up a video, and I was kind of rushing this a bit. I wanted to get this out there for you guys to enjoy. And now my missiles are pretty good. They're too clean. I'm gonna dirty those up, but that car looks pretty good. And since I liked it so much on that car, I'm gonna do the same thing on this car. So again, with some brushed metal, let's do the front a little bit. That's where a lot of the action happens, especially on cop cars with Rams, right? So I'm gonna dirty that up. And the metal on the window, obviously. You could even use brushed metal to dirty up the sides where the tires are, the fenders, I guess. And it does a nice job at dirtying the splashing of whatever dirt. So it's a 2-for-1. You dirty up your car and you do some damage, and it's easy, super easy, guys. Just clean your brush at the edges of wherever you want it to be dirty, and it looks pretty good. Now for this, well, some iced coffee. It's been a while since I drank anything, so get some of that in the system so I could focus on what I'm doing. And what I will be doing is this fire for the first time. I looked at some pictures online, and what I saw was that fire, most of it, especially jet, that fire starts with blue, or sometimes even white, and then becomes a bit of yellow, and then becomes red. So started with the blue there. I'm gonna put some yellow. Try to put some yellow inside. I should have primed the flames white. Again, fire is bright, right? So you wanted the colors to pop, but I forgot to prime the flame here, and the yellow is not looking so good. It's kind of looking like snot color, and fire is not snot color. So I'm trying to cover it up in red here. I didn't like the yellow, so I went back to red and then dark red. I had a hard time painting this fire, guys. So I went on the Gaslands TV group and got some pictures. Asked the group if they could send me some pictures of their fire paint job, and this is what I got. This one looks too realistic. I'm sorry, that's not a paint job, right, guys? How do you paint something to look like that? That's crazy. And anyways, let's go back to my horrible fire job. I do like the way I do ionized metal. I don't know how to pronounce it, or even if that's the word. But when metal gets really, really hot, it becomes like a purple blue. So I use just metallic purple, or metallic amnestis. Man, I feel dyslexic in this video. But yeah, so a bit of blue and a bit of purple on the tip of the guns and at the tip of wherever fire comes out. Makes it look like a nice little tarnished metal, burnt metal, highly burnt metal, and then gives it a nice little look. And this looks pretty good. Now my friend, as you all know, does Bandai gunplay or Gundam models, and he gave me some. I did some videos on those too if you want to go check them out. They do great Gaslands terrain, actually. But yeah, he gave me some stickers, and I'm gonna use these on the cars. So if ever you see some Gundam stickers for cheap or whatever, pick those up, because they do some nice decals. Zoom that up a little bit. That looks pretty good, right? Doesn't really show that it's a sticker unless you really, really look closely, but the decals are pretty nice. I'm gonna put something here on the side too. It would have been cool to have some kind of police decal or whatever, but who knows, maybe this team is a little bit weird. Put a little red writing there on the hood and Japanese writing on the side there. I don't know. Just had fun with some of the decals there. So this is it. I'm gonna call this one done, I believe. Could have maybe added a few more guns to it, but wanted to keep that one simple. It's got a ram, it's got a turret, some missiles, and it's got a jet engine, so it's not bad. I mean, zoomed in like this, you see a lot of the really bad details, but you know, as I said, not a pro. But this is a pretty good police team, if I can say so myself. Got a glue dropper on this this guy. It's the first glue dropper I make, and got a sheriff here. Super happy I got a nice little sheriff in my team, and happy with the rust job. Not the best I've seen, obviously, but easy to do, and anyone could do it. And if you look at the team all together, they look not bad. I asked some people to post some pictures of some of their police work, and I'd like to share it with you. It's on the Gaslands TV Facebook group, and these are really cool, guys. Thanks for sharing them. Thanks for sending them to me, and I'll try to put in a lot of more community content, stuff that you guys make on my videos. And as some of you know, I also make monthly contests, so you could win a lot of cool 3D printed stuff, a container basically full of 3D printed stuff, and that's every month, and you don't have to be a pro. Just send a picture in the comments, and gives you a chance to win. This month the winner is whoever made this team, and his name is Braden. You know who you are. If you're watching this video, send me a message on the Gaslands TV group. Congratulations, and hope you guys enter next month. If you guys are looking for dice to play the game, or maybe some gates, some templates, engines, I got some engine blocks. I sell a lot of this stuff, or you could try to win it every month. Subscribe to the channel, please, and hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post a video. You can come and see it and see if you won for that month. Also, join the Facebook group. There's a lot of cool and fun stuff, and whatever pictures you guys post and stuff like that on there, I'm going to try to share it or put it in my videos one way or another. And also come and join us on Instagram at Gaslands TV. See you next time.